Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I want to know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are doing a part 2 of Black Wellness. What is it? Our guest, Mr. Pastor, Creator, Jerome Garrett is back, and we are going to give you those last 4 dimensions of wellness. There are 8 dimensions of wellness. We went over the first 4, and we will review those real briefly, because if you want the more in-depth, you're going to have to look at the replay. But we're going to finish that up, and I am so excited to continue this conversation. So I want to hear from you all. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Greater Works Network on RokuTV. So for those of you on Facebook and YouTube, if you will, in the comments, put in your city and state and let us know where you are tuning in from so we can give you a shout out. I see you, cousin Denise from Texas. Thank you for tuning in. Miss Lynette here in Tallahassee. Thank you for tuning in. Like and share and like and share. Let people know they need to be in the room tonight because we have got a great conversation for you. This is a safe space for us to express ourselves, and we want to encourage one another. We want to enrich and enlighten one another, as well as just give space for each other. So I am had a great weekend. I am recovering, I guess, from a very festive homecoming, family homecoming. And so it was really a wonderful weekend, but it's time to get back to business. So here we are. All right. I see you, Miss Pam in Wellington. Okay. She says she's going to watch the replay. That's cool. I appreciate you. Hey there, Letitia from Tallahassee, Miss Marjorie and Berna in Miami, Miss Jeanette in Miami. And we also have Frankel in Tallahassee. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, as I stated, Jerome Garrett, he was our guest. We actually had him on back on World Mental Health Day, October 10th. And so he had so many nuggets. Listen, so if y'all missed it, y'all got to go back and check it out. So he's back with us tonight. So for those of you who missed it, I'm going to read a little bit of his bio, and then we're going to bring him on. So Jerome Garrett graduated from the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University with a bachelor's in social work, a minor in sociology. Also graduated from Walden University with a master's in social work, specializing in individuals, couples, and families. He is in hot pursuit of his PhD in social work, focusing on advanced clinical supervision. He's a professional life coach with the Fowler International Academy of Professional Life Coaching, and he serves as an intensive outpatient therapist for the Addiction Disease Department at Georgia Pines Community Service Board in Thomasville, Georgia. He also is the founder of Covenant Restoration International, a nonprofit organization, and serves as senior pastor and executive director of PrEP MAN program, mentoring program for at-risk adolescent males. He also provides services in mental health and substance abuse counseling, wellness and greatness empowerment coaching, and pastoral Christian counseling, merging therapy with theology for individuals and couples. So, y'all help me welcome Mr. D. Jerome Garrett.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey,
How
hey.
you doing?
Doing good. Thank you for being here.
I'm excited about being here. I really am.
Indeed, indeed. So tell the people who may have missed you last time, who is D. Jerome Garrett?
Well, D. Jerome Garrett is a eclectic soul. I'm really creative and I really love meeting the needs and helping people. My mantra is to bring help to elevate the lives of people, whatever you're being challenged by. So I believe that I was born to be a helper. I was born to serve people and help you be well and be great. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Love it, love it, love it. Elevating the lives of people. Love it. I see you, Ponder. I see you, Vaughn. Cousin Denise said, welcome. I see you, Miss Portia, and I see you, Ozzy. Thank you all for being here tonight. Again, this is an interactive live, so you can enter your questions and comments in the chat. But before we dive into the conversation in terms of a recap, I do want to, since I have a clinician on, I don't want you all to confuse this for counseling. Read my disclaimer, which is that all topics past, present, and future on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right. So, Black wellness. What is it? What is it? What is it? We focused on the 8 dimensions of wellness the last time you were here, with the first 4 being emotional, mental, physical slash nutritional, spiritual, and occupational. Occupational. So we want to give a quick recap.
So the quick recap. Number one was what again?
Emotional, mental.
Okay, so we are all a spirit beings. We're spirit, soul, and body. And
Mm-hmm.
so our emotional and mental wellness is what we think and how we feel. And
Okay.
so just to give you a recap on that, sometimes you can have self-defeating thoughts and self-defeating feelings. These self-defeating thoughts and self-defeating feelings is the enemy to your mental wellness and the enemy to your emotional wellness. So therefore, you have to be able to identify them and challenge those things. So when you challenge the thoughts and the feelings, you can change the behavior. And so that's what that is in a nutshell. The second one was what again?
Second one was physical slash nutritional.
Okay, physical and slash nutritional. Let me just say this before we go on with that. Wellness is a lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't care how old you live, you're going to always want to be well with every stage in life, every page in life. So when we deal with physical and nutritional, most of us grew up eating ham hocks and neck bones, and the way we eat and the way we take care of our bodies physically from a nutritional perspective has been passed down to us. So if we want to be well, we have to begin to change those particular habits. And this is probably my most difficult area when it comes to I had KFC for dinner, okay, in a rush, trying to want to be here on time, and it ain't good. I mean,
Yeah.
and so, but this is what the thing I want to say. Tell on you before you tell on somebody else. The more you're
Right.
able to process where you are, the greater you can help someone else. And so one of the things I find in our physical fitness, nutritional, if you're not good in that area, you got to find somebody to help you be accountable. But it's all about changing your mindset, which goes back to emotional and mental.
Yeah.
And remember this, that these things are not compartmentalized. They're all together. It's a one kind of thing. The principle of oneness, everything is connected. So if you are not well in one area, it can affect you in the other area. So when it comes down to physical fitness and nutrition, that's how we eat, our exercise, our movement. We were made to move. And the scripture said, in him we live, we move, and have our being. Many
Mm,
of us are living, but we're not moving. And because we're not moving, we can't come into being. I want to say that one more time. Many
mm,
of us are living, but because we're not moving, because we don't move, we'll never come into being. So whatever you're doing physically, let's get it moving. Get it moving in your mentality. Get it moving in your emotions. Don't get stuck, okay? Because
yeah.
wellness is a lifelong journey. And the
Yeah.
next one was spiritual, which takes me right into the spiritual. Spiritual is, I grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor, mom a missionary. We had a religious household. I mean, my sister couldn't even wear pants or earrings or anything till she got grown in out their house. But we grew up with religion, mistaking religion for spirituality. But religion is really creating an atmosphere. Spirituality is creating an atmosphere for you to be your best self. Now, you may do some things religiously to do that, but religion is not spirituality. So our spiritual wellness, I heard Dr. Mark Sharono say, to be human is to be spiritual. And so I think we have to focus on creating an atmosphere to be your best self. Matter of fact, being on this show is one of the most spiritual things because we're able to express, we're able to talk. She's created an atmosphere for people to be their best selves. So really, this is a spiritual work that she's doing.
Come on now.
Conversation. It's a spiritual work. No, she ain't saying lifting holy hands, but she's getting you to unpack and to unload. And I call it the she's you three in your greatness, unplugging it, unleashing it, and upgrading it.
You better come on with the use.
And
You three it.
see, you're threeing our greatness. You're helping us to unplug, to unleash, and to upgrade. Because with the conversations, everything starts, ends, and continues with the conversation. You change your conversation, you change your destiny. All of that is spiritual. We can't separate it. Working out is spiritual. Eating right is spiritual. What the way you think, what is stopping you from moving into your destiny, into your greatness, is the enemy. That is spiritual as well. We call that spiritual warfare.
All right.
That's a whole nother topic.
Listen, I think you
And then the last one that we did was occupational. Occupation is what type of job do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that being you're working for the system or you're an entrepreneur. Occupation. Occupation, look at the word occupation, is occupy. What are you occupying? The scripture said occupy until he come. That means you got to do the work that he's called you to do. Do the work, occupy. So occupational. And if a man don't work, he don't eat. So you're going to have to rise up and you're going to have to occupy whatever that occupation is, whatever mountain he's called you to stand on. He may have called you to the media mountain, the business mountain, the political mountain, the family mountain, the governmental mountain, the entertainment mountain, whatever mountain you've been called to stand on, you've been called to occupy. You've been called to take territory, to have dominion. Dominion means take territory, okay? Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue means to bring under your control, and have dominion. Dominion is to take territory, which means to occupy. Occupy until he comes.
All right. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Hey, Susan from Hampton. And my cousin said nursing. That's her occupying. That's
Come on, occupy nursing.
Yes.
Be the best nurse. Okay, the best nurse with the best recognition. That's how you represent
best bedside manner.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because even in our profession, let's just take nursing. She really represent Christ, or she represent excellence, or she represent Black wellness. She represented when we do our jobs well. That's how we raise Black wellness. Yeah. I love the topic Black wellness, and I had somebody say, well, why y'all said Black wellness? I said, I can't say white wellness because I'm not white. I'm Black. So I have to say Black wellness. And because of what African-American people have suffered in this country in the past, the present, and recently, we have to look at what's happening in our communities and what has caused us not to be well. Yeah. And one of the things is we have not been educated. Okay. We have not been made aware. We don't have self-awareness. in this time, notice everybody's talking about mental health and mental this and mental that. But in the African American community, mental wellness and mental health, all of those things were taboo. And there's so many stigmas that came with it. And there even racism and discrimination among how people are received therapy. Because on one hand, you diagnose the African American with bipolar, and you might give somebody else adjustment disorder with anxiety and depression mixed. When you're giving them a lesser diagnosis, and sometimes Black people are misdiagnosed. Okay, and so those are the things that we have to really, really look at. That's why we need more therapists that look like us. We need more nurses that look like us. We need more people that look like us. No, I'm not prejudiced. No, I'm not discriminating. No. I'm not doing any of that. But truth is truth. And when the truth will set us free. Okay. We have to own where we are, what has been done to us, but we have to own it, but we don't have to stay there.
Yes. Agreed. No, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So that was our recap. The first 4. That was a great recap. Oh, okay. We got a question. Ponder wants to know, when you speak of religion, does Jehovah mean anything in the concept?
Well, Jehovah, when you look at the word name, and if you spell N-A-M-E, the aim in name, when you look at the Greek, it really says the many faces of God. So when we look at Jehovah, Jehovah is a name. He's been Jehovah Jireh, our provider, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Sidkenu. He's been Jehovah Rapha. He told Moses, when Moses went to deliver the people out of Israel, who do you say who do I say represent me? He said, I say that I am is representing you. And I am, he said, I'll be anything that you need to be. So when we look at Jehovah, we some may call him Yahweh. Some may call him Elohim. He has many names with many faces, because what you need him to be, I might not need him to be. So he's going to be what he needs you to be in terms of, and so you might need him to be Jehovah Jireh. You might need him to be Jehovah Rophi, your healer. Whatever you need him to be, that's what he will be. And so that's how I'm going to answer that question. But thank you for asking.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, Ponder. All right. So let's dive into these other 4, because I have been waiting for this. All right. So intellectual wellness. So talk to us about what that is.
So intellectual wellness is, usually we talk about intellect, we think about IQ. But intellectual wellness, nowadays, research has shown that intellectual wellness, or wellness in terms of the intellect, is not just centered around our IQ. It is also centered around our EQ, which is our emotional quotient. So we have emotionally intelligent, we have intellect, which is the IQ, but we also have social intelligence. So intelligence is seen in different manner at this point in time. But when we have intellectual wellness, my question becomes, how are you feeding your mind?
Okay.
To listen to your show could feed somebody's intellectual wellness. To listen to a podcast, intellectual wellness is not just going to school.
Right.
But if it's becoming a lifelong learner, you can learn from a 4-year-old if you have an eye and ear to hear. You can learn from anything. And so we have to posture ourselves to be lifelong learners. As lifelong learners, we are embracing our intellectual wellness. We're always trying to learn new ways and new methods of doing things.
Okay.
And so that's really what intellectual wellness is about. Now, I don't really like school like that, but I have to go to school because of the purpose which I've been calling to the earth.
Okay.
And so I'm an advocate of certifications. I'm an advocate of affiliations and partnerships. I'm an advocate of words and music. And so I think we should feed our minds. Have you ever been with somebody and you have a conversation with them and they're not stimulating you in the conversation?
Yes, I have.
They're not feeding your intellectual wellness, and you be like, oh my God, this conversation is going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Boring. And so I
Boring.
think we have to feed our intellectual wellness. The relationships that we're in, our social relationships that we're in, also feeds our intellectual wellness. And so it's just what it says, intellect, spirit, soul, and body, mind, will, and emotion. My mind is my intellect, but your intellect, like I said, is not just based on your IQ, it's based on your EQ, which is your emotional quotient, and also your social intelligence. Emotional quotient deals with, can you handle your emotions and the emotions of others? Do you know how to abide in social situations? Do you know how to go among people and come out? Do you know how to use good social etiquette? Those type of things. All of that is a feeding of the intellect, and it's a skill set that you have to develop when it comes down to understanding the dimensions of your intellect. So that's how I would answer that.
So let me ask you this. What role does self-awareness play in your EQ?
Oh man, that's a good question. So one of the hardest courses that I took, I thought it was going to be one of the easiest courses when I went to Florida A&M University getting my undergrad in social work. They had a class called self-awareness. And man, when they began to teach about the different things and being aware and self-esteem and self-concept and self-preservation, all of these things connected with self-awareness. Self-awareness ties into that in so many ways, because if you are aware of yourself, now this is one of the things that I teach. To know yourself, you must know the strengths and the weaknesses of who you are.
Okay.
You must know the good and the bad. What will you have a proclivity to do? You got to be aware of that. So when you're emotionally in tune or you have emotional intelligence, it is a part of being self-aware of who you are. Okay. Now, we grew up in the African-American community, and a lot of people, we can go there real quick. We can be pop-off Patty or pop-off Peter, whichever one you want to do. And so we have a proclivity to pop off because sometimes emotionally we're not intelligent. But if we're going to be well, we got to know how to go in and out of settings without being eaten up by sharks. We got to know how to go in and out. It goes back to that code switching. We got to know how to speak and speak well, but we got to also know how to what emotion do I want to release? Now, if I want to go off in a certain setting and be Pop-Off Peter, I can't do that. And I had to learn that because I was really Peter Popoff.
You was Peter Popoff?
I was Peter Popoff, see, because I grew up. First of all, I was probably 98 pounds. I wore glasses thick as potato pie.
Coca-Cola bottle.
And I had, yes, Coca-Cola bottles. And that's what one of the kids would say, look, you can look at you with them Coca-Cola bottles on your eyes. And then I had hair that was like wool, okay? All right.
We got the visual. We got the visual.
I want you to get the visual. And so I was skinny, and then I had a high voice, okay? And listen, I was picked out to be picked on. And I learned how to defend myself with my words. But I became emotional, and then that's where I learned to cuss. My mama, I didn't hear my mom and daddy cuss now because they were preachers. But I learned to cuss in school. I learned to cuss being picked on. Okay, we're talking about self-awareness. See, I can talk about me. See how I can talk about that? That's because I have processed it. I have processed it and processed it, and so I had to learn. I remember my pastor, Pastor Kenneth Barrington, telling me one day, I was in my early 20s, and he said to me, he said, my first name is Donald. He said, Donald, you can't be that emotional. Men are just not that emotional. You have to learn how to pull your emotions in. And so that was a lesson for me. And I began to practice pulling my emotions in. I began to practice not being Peter Popoff. But I had to process, because she asked the word self-awareness. Self-awareness raises your emotional intelligence. It helps you to say, okay, How do I want to present myself? Self-presentation. How do you present yourself to the world? So you have to learn that, okay, I want to, like my friend and I were sitting and we were talking, one of my friends, and we were talking. I had on a suit jacket with a pair of jeans and a pair of tennis shoes that was kind of matching. And he had on something, a jogging pant. He said, they're most likely going to speak to you than speak to me because your jacket says something different from what my jogging suit says. So all of that plays into the picture, especially when you're Black.
Yes.
Now we're sitting outside of a restaurant getting ready to go in, the Jonas restaurant here in Thomasville, sitting outside getting ready to go in. And we had a lot of white people passing by. Some spoke, some didn't speak. And I began to say, I said, what make them look me in my face and not speak? You see what I'm saying? And then we begin to have this conversation.
Right.
For those who spoke, because people are judging and looking at you all, but I couldn't look at the man in the face and say, don't you see me speak? Don't you look right in my face and then speak? Because, and then we begin to talk about what people do in the South versus what they do in the North. When I went to FAMU, most Northerners, they're not going to speak to you. They might nod their head, but they're going to keep walking. Southerners, we're going to be like, hey, hey. So it all depends on where you grow up culturally.
Right.
And so, but I think to your point, self-awareness, I would suggest that everybody just do something on self-awareness. Find out the good, the bad, and the ugly about you, because it's all you.
Indeed, it is.
The Peter and the pop off. It's all you.
It is.
And so I think it helps us make decisions and keep us from being showing out or being ignorant. It gives us that emotional intelligence that we need, because we're going to be mistreated. And it's sad to say, but living in America in certain settings, people are not going to speak. I even spoke to your man, and he looked at me and did not part his lips. And he didn't have no hearing aids.
Well,
so
I'm going to leave that alone.
So at the end of the day, your self-awareness, you got to be so in tune with yourself, and self-awareness and emotional intelligence goes with another word I want to drop: self-control.
Okay. Keisha said, I'm getting that t-shirt made. What made you look in my face and not speak? It's just
that's good, Keisha.
It's time to wear it. All right, we got a question, a text question, and it says, to receive your degrees, D. Jerome, are you the author of the studies that give you the results you're speaking to, or are you using studies by other entities, organizations, or affiliates for the same use?
Wow. That's a good question. Let me see if I understand that question. In other words, how is my degrees benefiting me?
Yes. So to receive your degrees, are you the author of the studies that give you the results that you're speaking to, or are you using the studies by other entities, organizations, or affiliates for the same use?
Okay, I want to say both.
Okay.
Because everything starts and ends with a conversation, and the scripture says there's nothing new under the sun. So there are some philosophers, there's some scholars who started a conversation before me.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is building on the conversation. But I do have some creative things that I feel like God has given me to add to the conversation that's going to upgrade it, to help us to unplug, to unleash, and to upgrade. My degrees give me a voice. That's why I'm pursuing my PhD. It gives you a voice.
Yeah.
And some things you have to have before you get into the playing field. Before I can sit to the particular table, some people want respect just my words. They're going to respect my degree. But when I open my mouth, that's just how the cookie is. That's just how it crumbles in certain situations. But I'm learning that the things that I've been given, I have to trademark. And I have to, because I dropped a lot of nuggets. I dropped a lot of nuggets on this show the last time I was here, and I'm dropping a lot of nuggets now. And these are things that I haven't really heard people talk about in terms of how we do it. So there's nothing new under the sun. I think a scholar takes that has already been researched and studied, and they build upon it. The bachelor's person, they study about it. The master's person, they do more research in terms of mastering. But when you become a PhD, you become a doctor in something, that means you develop your own philosophy. And so that's where I'm going to develop my own philosophy in some different things that I feel like God has placed on my heart. From the beginning of my birth, I was a premature child. I was 4 pounds and maybe 2 ounces or whatever. I was a premature child. And from the beginning of my birth, I felt like I was destined to speak on the behalf as an advocate for people, as a voice for God, as a spiritual advisor. My mother and my father shaped me to do that. Recently, I just lost my spiritual mother, Pastor Helena Barrington. I just recently lost her on October 9th, and we buried her on the 22nd. These people, my father died January 22nd of 2022 this year. So I've lost two spiritual pillars in my life, but they did not die in vain because they was before I became, and yet I'm still becoming. And everything I do is connected to the ancestors that have gone on before me.
Yeah.
Because we are not islands to ourselves. We represent a bloodline, and we represent a people.
Indeed.
And so that's how I want to answer that. I answered it from a scholarly perspective. I also answered it from a inheritance and heritage perspective.
Okay.
We have to build on what we have already been given.
Indeed. We stand on the shoulders of giants.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So I want to pause here. And for those of you who may be just joining in, I am here with D. Jerome Garrett. We are talking about Black wellness, specifically the 8 dimensions of wellness. We did a recap of the first 4, but we have moved on to intellectual wellness. And so I do want to get to Frankel had a question. He said, what about people who are unable to take great care of themselves? I find many people on the street have a different level of self-awareness as well.
Wow. So I want to say this. Wellness without self-care is no good. Because self-care helps you maintain your wellness. Okay? Because we're getting ready to go to the next one, which is financial self-care, financial wellness. But there's also something called financial self-care. Most of the people that I see are having financial wellness issues. And they don't have financial self-care. And we talk about self-care. There are different types of self-care. And we have to connect self-care with wellness. We won't stay well.
Okay.
You must have that self-care piece.
So self-care is part of that, of wellness. You got to have it.
You got to have it because it helps us maintain it.
Yeah.
It helps us maintain it. You can't just be intellect, reading. At what point in time? I like the word recreation.
Recreation?
Recreation is recreation.
Okay.
You give your cells a chance to recreate. The body heals itself if we put the right minerals and the right stuff in it. And so I think we have to learn how to recreate. We have to recreate. That's a part of self-care.
Yes.
Some people can't rest. If they're recreating, like you say, you went to a lot of activities and festivities this weekend. We have to say FAMU one more time, okay?
That's how we do.
Listen, you did that, but all that was a part of self-care. It's
Yes.
because sometimes you got to step away. You got to enjoy the people. You got to come. We come in to celebrate and we go out to demonstrate. So we have to celebrate and we have to connect with our people. Do you know that even when the pandemic, they had us in social distances, but some people were well because a part of going to the church, going to games, going to different things was a part of their self-care.
Yes.
And some people begin to break down emotionally. And so I think it's very, very important that we do the self-care. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you, Frank Hill. So Sister Lover, I did see your question. I'm going to circle back at the end because it's a little deep. So if we have time, I'm going to circle back to it. And Lynette also just briefly spoke about Helena Barrington, the great woman of God, and she had seen her creative productions, and I did not know her personally as well, but her legacy definitely lives on through her spiritual children because, she just was quite a mighty woman of God and of the kingdom. So definitely sending our thoughts and prayers with the family, both biological and chosen family. So. All right. So financial wellness. Does that mean that you're rich? Like you have a lot of money? You're a millionaire, billionaire? The Powerball, they say it's almost $1 billion. So
Watch it now. Watch it. Don't talk about listen, let me just say.
nobody wanted tonight. Nobody wanted tonight. You got a chance tomorrow. You better go get them tickets.
I told them if God reveal them to my show, play it. Don't tell nobody. Anyway, so let me say financial wellness. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. Okay. So when I graduated from college, I was already a slave to the government because I had student loans. Okay. I was also a slave to Gulf and Shell. I was a slave to some of the creditors, right?
Burdines, Gafers,
yes,
Macy's,
I was a slave. I was already a slave. So what I learned about myself, I learned that my name was no good because my word was no good.
Ooh, wait a minute. You about to step on some toes right here. What'd you say?
Yeah, I learned that my name was no good because my word was no good.
And what was your word? What was your word?
I promised to pay those people.
You promised to pay them people?
I promised to pay those people, but I didn't pay them.
What?
Because my word, and I learned that when your word is no good, your name ain't no good. And so what happened is I graduated, I had a gas card and didn't have no car.
How you do that?
But I had a friends who had cars,
right? So and you had a gas car. So
I would put the gas in the car, and they would drive and ride. And so guess what? Because the gas stations had snacks in them, I would buy snacks at the store too. So guess what? And guess what we were going? We were going to church. We were driving to church in Miami and Fort Pierce and all of these different places, trying to get our spiritual thing on, but being financially ignorant. Okay? So I had a friend of mine, Sherwood Brown Sr., for those of you who know him, he's a banker and a New York insurance guy right now, and a financial planner and a tax person or whatever.
He is a tax person.
So when he graduated, he didn't have no financial aid because he told me that his daddy told him, you got 4 years. After 4 years, you're on your own. So he graduated. He didn't have student loan debt. When I graduated, I had pounds of student loan debt. And so I'm saying all of this to say is that sometimes we are financially illiterate. And if we're going to be financially well, we have to begin to educate ourselves. My parents did not teach me about finances. My grandfather was dropped out in 3rd grade. He worked in the cotton fields. Now, my father was the valedictorian of his high school class. Okay, and he went to school on an academic and athletic scholarship, but he still did not teach me finances. He didn't teach me finances. Okay, when we know better, we do better. When we know what we're doing, we can teach what we're doing. So I've learned more about finances from friends like Sherwood Brown, my friend Eric Brown, who is a certified public accountant. I learned from, thank God for YouTube University. So we just learn, because if I want to be financially well. I have to be intellectually well. I got to feed my mind on things that I don't necessarily know about,
Indeed.
which makes me a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about capital and credit and cash flow and different things like that. And so if we're going to be financially well, we got to be taught, and we got to teach the generation coming up. We got to teach the young people about assets and liabilities. We got to teach it, because if we don't teach it, another generation will be ignorant. And again, last time we talked about Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
That whole particular era and group of people fascinate me, because somebody was not selfish. They were selfless to
Yes.
help one another. They learned from one another, and they came together. And if we're going to be well as a people, we must be well as individuals.
Yes. Yes. Well said. Well said. All right. So that's financial. All right. So next up is social.
Now, social. Now, so I have a minor in sociology. Sociology is the study of interaction between people and people's groups, learning about the folk ways, the mores, all of the norms and different things. So to be social, to be sociable, we have to understand we got to like people, because I always say that when God wants to love you, he brings people into your life. He placed you in a family. When he wants to express his love, he gives you friends, because friends are gifts from God that pushes you towards your destiny. And so when you come down to being social, you got to have social intelligence. Some people don't do people. And none of us have been called to live on an island by ourselves.
Right.
And one of the questions that I look at, the things that I look at when I'm assessing people, what kind of lifelong friends do you have? I ain't no lifelong friend. That's a red flag. You can't keep a friend a year. So you have to look at that, which goes back to your own self-awareness.
Now, what do you say? You know, you heard this saying about people are in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Okay. Just make sure they're lifetimers. So I'm not saying keep everybody in your life, because let me tell you, if we look at the scriptures, Jesus had 3 disciples that was really close to him. He had 12 that he mentored. Okay. Moses' father Jethro told him to find 70 leaders. So you at most you're gonna lead 70. You'll mentor 12, but it'll only be 3 that'll be real close to you. And you got to be mindful that there was 5,000. He fed 5,000. So thousands of people. And this mistake that I made one time, I made somebody I was supposed to feed, a friend, when all they were meant to do is feed them. Not to take them, sit down with them for dinner. It was to feed them. And so we can't feed the people. We can't lead. The leaders are not the feeders.
Come on now.
So you have to know yourself, and you have to learn how to discern people and discern, are they there for a lifetime? Are they there forever? Are they there? I have friends that I've had for 30 years. Okay. I'm talking about 30 years. But when I grew up, I didn't have no friends. And that was a prayer that God gave me. He gave me friends. I said, Father, bless me with friends. Because in high school, middle school, I was Peter Popoff.
That's why you ain't had no friend.
But listen, I felt like I had to defend myself.
Because they were teasing you.
Because I was being picked at. Now, the scripture is right. If you want friends, you must first show yourself friendly.
Friendly, right.
And you're probably right. That's probably why I didn't have any, because I was going to get you before you got me. But I had to process. I had to be healed.
Right.
I had to learn. God had to challenge me. And I understand that. See, so let me give you a little more. So as a victim of molestation, as a victim of different things, you know what I'm saying? There are things that you have to heal from.
Yes.
And what God does, he reveal so that you can heal, so that you might deal.
Yes. Yes.
So in the process of that, I'm going back here. Self-awareness helps you become more sociable. And it feeds that social wellness part of you, because we cannot be on an island by ourselves. So I've been married for 26 years. I have friends that I've had for over 30 years. And I believe that because of the social part, when God wants to love you, he give you people. He loves you through people. And all y'all who tell me, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. And I know Vicky Winans meant long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. I know she meant well, but that ain't true. We need people in our lives.
I agree. Ozzy said, I like that. He reveals to heal. Keisha said, reveal, heal, deal. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. No, that's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So environmental.
Ah, man. So environmental is the atmosphere that you create outside of you and inside of you. So environmental have two parts. So if I'm going to deal with social awareness, that means I have to do a soul dump. I have to do a soul detox. Okay. Feelings buried alive never die. A soul dump is that I have to dethrone unhealthy mental processes.
Okay.
So I'm having to do a soul dump. And so when I do that, I can get the environmental, the atmosphere within me that exudes outside of me, that wherever I go, I carry an atmosphere. So I went to a conference in July. It was an addiction disease conference in Atlanta. Going to that conference was a new environment for me. As a result of going to that conference, I got a clinical supervisor that I needed to get a certification in addiction disease. When in Thomasville and where I work, there was nobody providing the supervision. Even though I'm paying for the supervision out of my pocket, I could not have gotten that had I not gone into that atmosphere. I got into the atmosphere. I went to the different classes. I met some people at the conference that became friends, connections, that environment. Sometimes you have to go to an environment or conference or somewhere to be an environment that's going to add to your wellness. But in going to that environment, that's external environment.
Right.
Your internal environment is that you have to deal with the anger. You got to deal with the bitterness. You got to deal with the rejection. You got to deal with the hatred. You got to deal with being picked at. You got to forgive. That's internal environment. And I find out when you deal with the internal, the external is a breeze. And so when we deal with environmental wellness, many times we want to think outside of ourselves. But what is the environment and the atmosphere within you? That is
start from the inside and work your way
out. That's right. What that nasty attitude I had. That lack of submission to authority. My mama said up, I said down. My daddy said go, I said no.
But you thought those things were serving you well at the time, correct?
They were serving me well at the time, but there was a better way.
So
I was surviving, but I wasn't thriving.
You were surviving and not thriving. Hold on. Keisha, I see you. We're going to tell you in a little bit how to contact Mr. Garrett. All right. So you were surviving and not thriving. But how do you people do that for years. Survive and not thrive. And Peter Popoff and Patty and all of these other things, right? For years and years and years, going through life doing that. So how does what's the day of reckoning, the self-awareness when you find out or that the light bulb goes off that there's got to be a better way to this?
Well, for me, so let me just say, I grew up in the church. But growing up in the church didn't really do it. That didn't do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a spiritual encounter.
Mm.
I had to have a different experience, because my experience with my higher power is beyond the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And as a people, we've had to fight for a long time.
Yes.
We fight to be respected. We
Mm-hmm.
fight to be given the same opportunities. We fight. You got to know, Ecclesiastes 3 said there's a time and a season for all things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time to fight, but there's a time to refrain from fighting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time to hate, but there's a time to refrain from hate. There's a time to love. There's a time for peace. You got to know timing. And a lot of time we fight the people that love us because we still have the sting and we still have the hurt. We're still being controlled by it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we got to do enough processing. I think I said last time, what you do not address, you cannot process.
Yes.
What you do not address, you can't process. I had to address my molester. I had to address and not give them power. I had to address that. And so I kept all of that to myself. I was about 20-some years old when I told my parents, and they didn't know what to do with that.
I bet they didn't.
They didn't know what to do with that. And so at the end of the day, I had to address it. But I didn't, I not only did I have to address the individual, but I had to address it in prayer. I had to address the pain.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate to have a gift that helped heal me. My song helped heal me. Because I was able to write songs like, I don't want to cry no more, feel the hurt and pain no more. I don't want to cry no more, feel the hurt and pain no more. Lord, I give it all to you. I had to literally sing.
Yes.
And there were nights I sing myself to sleep.
Yes, yes, yes.
When there was no therapy, my music became my therapy. My worship became my therapy. So I got some therapy, but I had to create the atmosphere, the environment within me, because I was really, really bitter. I remember one time my brothers would wake me up out of my sleep, and they would set me up, and I would wake up cussing, get your GD hands off me, you MF, bye. And my mama would be standing right there. I was acting out, and she didn't know why. I was just angry. Yeah. And when I deal with people that's angry, I have to ask them what hurt you. If you get rid of the hurt, the anger will begin to dissipate. And so up on the anger, if you think of the iceberg that sank this Titanic, they saw the tip of the iceberg, but they didn't see the mass that was under that actually sank the ship. And so a lot of time we see anger as the tip, but we don't see the brokenness. We don't see the disrespect. We don't see the different things that happen to us that's under there. But we have to process that. It has to be addressed and it has to be processed.
Yes.
But I had to learn how to process it with my song, and I processed it with prayer. I'm just going to tell you. I know we want formulas and all of that, but I had to learn how to pray, and I really had to learn how to cry out to my higher power, and that's why I believe there is a God. And I found that the statistics that 80 to 85% of our people believe that there's a higher power, and we believe in prayer, and we believe in God. So that's what I have for that.
Okay, there you go. No, that's great. Woo! All right. Wow. So we have gone through the last 4. Very, very eloquently as well. So intellectual, financial, social, environmental, for the full 8 dimensions of wellness.
And they are all intertwined.
They are all intertwined, interconnected.
You might be stronger in one area than you are in the other, but remember that wellness is a lifelong journey.
Yes. And that you need self-care.
And you need self-care to maintain your wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this to you. I was interning, and I interned at hospice here in Thomasville.
Mm-hmm.
And my intern supervisor was actually being DM'd by this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't dating anybody. And she said to me, I said, girl, why don't you just talk to him? She said, I can't talk to him, D. Jerome, because he's overweight. I struggle with my eating. If I
Mm.
date him, I'm going to be overweight as well.
Mm.
She said, he's not well, and I'm not well. So
Mm-hmm.
why would I get with someone that's not well?
Right. Wow.
I said that to say is that sometimes we have to check our environment, our circle. The people
Mm-hmm.
around us, are they well? And
Yeah.
are we challenging them to get well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to run with people that's well,
Mm-hmm.
that's at least trying to get well, not just them
Right.
settled with where they are. This
Mm-hmm.
is a lifelong journey. And my word for the year has been run.
Mm-hmm.
Run is reset, reassess, reevaluate, redo, revamp. The is the unplug, the unleash, and the upgrade. And the N is the niche and the need. So
Niche and need.
if you're gonna run, that's what you have to do. And you don't do that just one time. That's lifelong. That's every
Right.
year.
Mm.
And so 2023, my word is gonna be elevate.
Elevate. Yes.
Run so fast that you start flying and you elevate.
Line and elevate. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So they asking for your cash out.
My, my cash app is Cry Church, CRI Church.
All right. I'm gonna put it in here.
$ CRI Church. I think that's all capitalized. CRI Church. It might not even matter, but it's $ Cry Church.
Okay. I'll put it in here. I can see it. All right. All right. There it is. All right. So CRI, not Y, Keisha. CRI.
CRI, which is Covenant Restoration International.
CRI Church. Are you well? That's the question. Great question. Are you well?
Are you well?
Yes.
For those of you who are dating and think about dating and getting married and settling down, the person has to be well.
Yeah.
I do couples coaching once a month,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm teaching the couples. You want him to be well, but you're not well, ma'am. You want her to be well, sir, but you're not well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm challenging them to work on their wellness.
Mm-hmm.
See, because if you get a well individuals, you can have a well couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the individuals need to be well.
The individuals have to be well.
Or at least working on wellness.
They're at least working on it.
Got a mindset to want to be well.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I felt that.
Yeah. And let me just say this, brothers, I'm not talking about your ego, working on your ego. Sisters, not your ego, because that's going to be connected to pride.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to get that. You're going to have to be well in terms of that.
Mm-hmm. All right. We got Mr. Desmond Artist on the line giving us the Cash App. He said he doesn't know if the letters are cap or not, but that's what he has on his phone. So,
oh, okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Desmond. Desmond is a mentee of mine. I've been mentoring Desmond since he was in the 7th or 8th grade. Actually, was his teacher at Metropolitan Christian Academy of the Arts, and he's about to turn 40.
Nice.
But a lot of these principles I taught him and his brother. They were part of my first Prep Man program.
Gotcha.
Oh man, back in 1990 something.
So I know Dominic, his brother, quite
Dominic,
well.
yeah, that's my dude right there, Dominic Artist.
Dominic has been on the show a couple of times, and he's a mentor to my son Jabari.
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome. Yeah, Dominic is gonna call, and we're gonna have to have our monthly rap session, and so I just love the Mr. and Mrs. Artist for trusting me with their children, and it is such an honor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Indeed. Indeed. All right. Well, so really quick, I'm gonna go back to Sister Glover's question since we got a little bit of time. We are actually closing in on the hour, but I did not want to ignore her question. So let me go back. She says the act self spirituality, your best self, is very different from the biblical command to be filled with the Spirit, right?
Okay, so let's talk about self.
Okay.
Ultimately, there's there are three parts of yourself: your physical self, your spiritual self, your soul self. Your The three parts of man is spirit, soul, and body.
Mm-hmm.
The three parts of man is spirit, soul, and body, but the three
Right.
parts of the soul is mind, will, and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Bible says that our lives are hid in Christ in God. So ultimately, Nicole,
Mm-hmm.
we start out with our physical self, but Maslow hierarchy needs talks about self-actualization, understanding yourself to the fullness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I redefine self, look at this. This is an acronym for self: seeing into eternity, living forever.
Mm.
So self really will change the more you come aware of who you are, not just from a physical place, but from a spiritual place. So to answer your question, the act self spirituality, your best self. I think that we are elevated into different because who I was at 30, I'm not that person at 40.
Mm-hmm.
Who I was at 40, I'm not that person at 50. I just turned 56.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I reach 60, there's certain things going to have changed about me. I expect to have a greater insight, I a greater influence. So this thing called self constantly grows and constantly develop.
Yes.
I wrote a poem some time ago that says, "I'm becoming." What am
Mm-hmm.
I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Everything I say I do, I find myself not following through. But does that mean I don't love you and not willing to serve you? What am I supposed to do? For I'm becoming. So when he said, "Let there be D. Jerome," D. Jerome will continue to be. And the self of who I am will continue to evolve until
Mm-hmm.
breath leaves my body. I'll forever change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be transformed.
Yes. Did that make sense to her? Did I
I
answer her
hope
question?
so. I hope so. I'm not sure if she's still on, but if Sister Glover, if you want to, if that answers your question, let us know. Or if you want some more clarity, let us know. All right. So I think it was Keisha wanting to know how to connect with you. So how can they connect with you, D. Jerome?
Okay, so I'm actually on, first of all, go to my website, www.djeromegarrett.net. All of my social media stuff is there. I am on Facebook, I'm on Instagram,
Mhm.
I'm on Twitter sometimes. I just started a little TikTok thing. I don't know what I'm
Oh
doing.
no,
I don't know what I'm doing. And so, but go to
you're not
DJerome,
alone.
yeah, www.djeromegarrett.net, or you can email me at djeromegarrett@gmail.com. So, um, that's what I have.
Yes, yes.
And reach out to Nicole, and she can give you my information,
Mhm.
and make sure you continue to be a part of conversations with Nicole.
Indeed. Thank you so much. No, this has been absolutely wonderful. And I know you have a lot more in you. Um, so I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us tonight. And I look forward to your great future. Look forward to what's the word for next year?
The word for next year is elevate.
Yes, I look forward to you elevating.
Yes.
Yes, witnessing what the elevation of D. Jerome will be.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's really, really good. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. So if this is good for y'all tonight, let us know in the comments. Give us some hearts. Give us some thumbs up. Some praise hands or something. Let us know if this was good. All
Absolutely.
right. I really enjoyed myself. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, cousin Denise. Ozzy, the key word is wellness. Get it in a capacity in our lives. Great word tonight. Thank you, Ozzy. Ozzy's a clinician out of Virginia Beach.
Oh, I love that word capacity, Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
That word capacity. Oh my God, we could have a whole conversation on that word capacity.
Yes,
Oh
yes, yes,
man,
yes.
thank you for sharing
Indeed.
that.
Indeed. Mom is on. She said the best October 31st ever. Look,
Thank you,
a
Mom.
great way to spend your Halloween, right?
I know that's right. I had to make sure I turned my light off outside because I don't want to
Listen,
turn talking about no trick or treat.
you and me both. Just came right, just come right on back. Great information. So Marjorie says she wants you to come on back.
Absolutely.
All right. Frank Kill, cousin Niece, Tim Jones, Miss Keisha. Looking forward to speaking with you in advance. All right, Keisha gonna reach out. All right, Miss Portia, Miss Katie, cousin Nora. All right, watch the replay. Yes, powerful word, great conversation. So y'all are chiming in. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Please share this with somebody that you think might benefit from our conversation here tonight. And please like and share and comment on YouTube. And if you don't subscribe, I invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel because subscribing is support and we need all the support we can get. So listen, on Wednesday we have this lovely lady, Miss Sherry Sutton Johnson, who is out of Chattahoochee, Florida. But she has written a book. Sometimes I cry, and so it's about her life experience. But she is also a PhD and a nurse and a number of other letters behind her name. So she has a remarkable story, and can't wait to have her on Wednesday to share it. So and it's okay to cry. It's okay. It's all right. We got to release that hurt. So, um, yeah. Anyway, thank you, thank you,
You are
thank
so welcome. You're so welcome. I was honored to be here. Thank you so much. Again, thank you to my friend Michael Cork for referring me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
He
want to
has
honor him. If you
absolutely.
guys don't listen to him, y'all listen to him.
That's
Uh,
right.
yeah,
Hallelujah 95.3.
absolutely.
Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm on at 8:45 on Mondays with my mindful moment. But you can check them out there as well as download the app. They have a free app, so you can check them
Absolutely.
out on there as well. So shout out to Michael Cork, my good friend. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing your name either, buddy, but it's all right. I'm glad you told us it was you. All right. So again, thank you all for tuning in and for your interaction, your comments, and thank you again, D. Jerome. Wish you all the best.
You are welcome.
All right, good people. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all soon.
Holla.
Peace.